let's play Fallout 4. This is the second time I'll be playing this game. First time I played it was back in 2015 when it came out. I was also about 15, so my choices then, my choices now, how I'll play through the game, how my brain works will be vastly different. Fallout 4 is a game, you are out in Boston, Massachusetts, the atomic bomb has been dropped, and you are out in the world trying to find your son Shaun, because oh my god, he got taken from you. So it's about exploring the wasteland and the people that have grown there and what the world is like, and coming to terms with who you are becoming, what the world is, because it's nothing like, you know. Yeah, I will be playing through. You like my housewifey outfit? I did it just for you. Completely housewife. But yeah, without further ado, let's get playing.
So after you create your character in the restroom, which is so brilliant the way they frame it, like you're getting ready for the day, you create both you and your spouse. No gay people in this universe. You just explore a bit. This is my little baby. I don't even know his name, but this guy's Shaun. Very awesome, powerful name. So once I'm done doing some more exploring, this is my house. Very 60s vibe, I think this is based off of. I go to the kitchen and I meet my Codsworth, but I'm just doing some more exploring. You can hear the TV in the background, just playing its little show. You find out that you're in Boston. You find out that you are a lawyer, and we're a very patriotic American family. And this is where the vault tech guy comes. This guy's purpose is to give you a spot in the vault 111. Due to my husband's, and so they also make it, I love when games do this, when they like intertwine creating your character and don't just make it like a screen. So this is also where we get to choose our traits. I think in the game you're like aware of the possible impending doom of nuclear annihilation, because the cutscene that starts off, which I didn't record, talks about the Great War and just like war. And more war, and my husband served in a war quite recently, so I think there's still like that climate, that political climate where war may happen, may not happen. But this is where I'm like, what kind of name should I have? Because I wanted it to fit the aesthetic of the 60s kind of vibe that's going on, and whenever I'm gonna play a character that I'm not gonna play as like myself, I try and come up with a similar name to mine but different. So I settled on Lola. So this is what I settle on. They're my base attributes. As the game goes on, each level that you get, you can put them in each little slot. So that's what I settle on. And then we go tend to my son. I look at my husband, who I find out his name is Nate. It's just a normal, everyday, I got a great husband, I got a great son. Absolutely nothing can go wrong, am I right? So here I am with my son, with my husband. We're making plans to go to the park because it's either Halloween or Halloween's next week. And then Codsworth is like, hey guys, you gotta come see this. And the guy on the news is reporting that there are some bombs going off. Are they just regular bombs? Are they atomic bombs? Is the world ending? The world is ending, so we grab ourselves and we run to the vault. Not Cosworth though, RIP, but we are running. And when we get there, as well as when we're running over there, there's some army guys that are like pretty serious about their job. So only very select people can get in. I mean, look at that guy with this giant machine gun. So I don't know if all these neighbors are going to be able to get in, but we're allowed to get in. We don't care about them at this exact moment. The bombs just went off. Who knows if we're going to get bombed next, or if the explosion, how humongous it is. And then we get right to it, and then boom! And we make it down, and then we are greeted by the interior of Vault 111. Everyone is pretty shaken up, but the Vault 111 people are already there. I don't know if they were waiting for us, if they were expecting this, or what. But we're heading up to go get changed. This lady is running who knows where. But I get my super cool new Vault 111 jumpsuit, so we're all matching. We're told to follow the doctor. We got some orientation things, but first we got some medical things. I'm thinking it's like a decontamination, or maybe it's like a check-in, so they can see everything that's wrong with us before we come in. Because I mean, we did just narrowly miss the atomic explosion. But yeah, we are going to be put into these pod looking things. My child is crying, so I tell him, see you in a couple minutes, and then I step on into my vault. I mean, not vault. I step into my little pod. So I'm in this pod to be decontaminated, and then it kind of like freezes over. It actually didn't record like the most pivotal plot point in the whole game, but I'll explain it. I was in cryo sleep, obviously not just decontamination. These two guys came in, shot my husband in the head because he didn't want to give up my son. So they came and kidnapped Shaun and shot my husband dead. And after they killed him, they refroze me, and they're like, at least we have the backup. But yeah, so I wake up and I have no idea what just happened. I could have been dreaming, but I'm not, because obviously my husband is not holding my child. And the vault computer is saying something about cryogenic array failure and how we all gotta leave. So I kind of take a look around, and I didn't realize this the first time I played, but everyone is dead. I don't think they all got shot in the head though, but I don't know if the cryogenic thing failed. I don't know what happened because I was still frozen. But yeah, everybody is dead. So I gotta get out of here. What is going on? Where is everybody? I come across a room with more pods. I don't know if I came in with these people because there's quite a lot. And I see a computer and I'm like, oh my god, let me go look at it. Maybe I'll find some data, especially because it says monitoring. So I take a look through all three of them, and it's basically saying everyone is dead because of asphyxiation. And I also find out that it was manually disabled, and so I don't know what's going on here. Right now my goal is to find out what happened, where is everybody. So I'm going around, I'm also picking up things because I know I'm gonna need them later. But I come across another computer and I go over everything in it, and I basically immediately find out that Vault 11 or 111 is running these tests to find out the effects of suspended animation on unaware human subjects. And I was kind of like, why is this just laying out in the open? But I realized we were supposed to be frozen, so there's absolutely no way we would run across it, and so the only people reading this would be the Vault people who were aware of this. It gives a bit of background on kind of leading up to it. So everything was planned, it was all a trick, and they are not to leave until they get the all clear from the higher ups. No, how could they do this to us? So I pick up a trusty weapon and I start swinging. There are these giant roaches, maybe like 3 feet long. There's a skeleton. So yeah, I'm trying to find out more info because I have no idea what happened. I was in the vault for like 2 minutes and then I was frozen. I make my way over to the overseer's office. I pick up this 10mm, and you know, I started hacking that computer. Well, not literally hacking, but trying to find out that information. There was a mutiny, and I think that's what killed everyone. The notes from the overseer confirms that everyone is dead, so there's nothing left for me here. I head on up the vault, and then I grab this little pit boy, open up that vault, and climb back on up to the top. Once I get back up to the surface, I take a deep look into all my surroundings. It is after the atomic, I think it was the atomic bomb that went off. So I take a little look around and see my little neighborhood. And with nowhere else to go, I head back home. As I approach, I find Codsworth, who survived not only the explosion, but however long has passed. And I converse with him. He's a little tiny bit, like, not all there, but it's all right because well, it's not all right actually, because he tells me it has been 200 years since I went into that vault. We both kind of comfort each other because I tell him my husband was shot and hopefully my little baby Shaun is still out there. But it's been 200 years, so I didn't really have an option to be like realistic, hey, 200 years passed. So I just kept it to like, they have to be out there, the killers. So I'm leading with that. And that is so hard to say. Codsworth lets me know that there's this town nearby that is probably my best bet yet. So after I do some more little looting and rummaging around all my neighbors, see all the stuff that was really going on in all their houses. One big aspect of the game is cracking safes, like little locks, and also hacking. Hacking is going to come up a lot. It looks pretty complicated, but basically you have this screen and there is a word which is a passcode. Each time you click one, it'll tell you how likely it is to be the word. So if the word is dog and I choose hog, it'll say that the likeliness is 2. But if I choose how, the likeliness will be 1 because just the O is there from the dog. You with me? And then each of these like little semicolons and slashes and all that stuff, whenever a chunk of it is highlighted, that means it's like a little glitch. So it'll either get rid of one of the words or it'll reset the tries. Each level, there's like novice, expert, master. They get a bit harder with the amount of letters there are, but it's the same concept. Hopefully you got that because I don't think I'm going to explain it ever again. There's still some more concepts you haven't been quite introduced to yet. Crafting is a huge thing in this game. You can craft food, you can craft armor, you can craft weapons, you can craft chemicals. So there's a lot of this crafting, and the way that you get all these materials is from collecting little items. So that's why I already started collecting things like digging through the trash. It's a huge aspect. And another cool thing about this one, I think it was introduced in this Fallout, this is Fallout 4, was that you can create structures. So because this is like my settlement, I have access to a workshop and I can scrap anything, and then I can use those materials to not only build like a chest piece, I can also build a door. It's a whole bunch of freedom. It was never something that I really spent too much time on. So I'm gonna try and utilize that aspect a bit more this go around. I believe in myself. So after I got a good night's sleep, I headed off to Concord after staying by the Codsworth, who told me to watch out for the communists, which caught me off guard, but I forgot that's like a big theme in Fallout. But anyway, I headed out of Sanctuary Hills, immediately came upon a body, and kept going until I hit my first discovered location of Red Rocket Hills truck stop. And this is where you meet your first companion, Dogmeat. He's a companion that I usually always keep with me. I think they're like all the way to the end of the game. I just love him. He holds on to people while you attack, and he can carry like 50 billion things. So I love him. I later learned that he's one of the only ones that like completely follow you around. Some of the other companions, they all like wander off, and I don't want that. I loot the place, find out from the computer that they have nearby drugs or something that they had to hide. So I gotta go find that. These groundhogs pop up. They always scare me. I know they're coming, but they always scare me. And since there's this red workshop bench thing, I'm able to set this up as like a settlement. So I do some tidying up, and then I find that little hole that they were talking about hiding all that stuff, kill a bunch of more mole rats, and then I set. So as you pull up, there's this little fight going on. I didn't intentionally do it because I just love exploring. Like, I will go into every single building and every single floor, but the fight was still going on. And so the people we're gonna meet killed all the raiders that were like stationed out there. So the fight was actually pretty easy. There's like 2 people left when I got there. But I headed on inside, and that's then when more people were stationed out. And I took them down. It was a British museum, so it was really funny because you had like, what do you call it? Like the tour guide voices going off like, oh, in 1830, the Boston Tea Party, blah, blah, blah. And while you're like blowing people up. But yeah, you make your way to the top and you meet the people that were stationed out there. And this is where you were introduced to the Minutemen. One of the responses that you can give, and which I gave, was great. Now I'm traveling back in time, because the Minutemen are part of the American Revolution. What this game does is it utilizes a lot of our history. I mean, if the world exploded, the things that would survive would be very prominent things in history. And if they're prominent in our history, then they'll probably be prominent in their history. So anyway, they let you know that they are kind of the last Minutemen standing, and they are desperate for help to get out of here because there's ghouls out there, there's raiders out there, and there were 20 about a month ago, and they're down to 5. So they are begging for help. I'm begging for help to find Shaun. So they're kind of like, okay, well, help us out. There's this fusion core in the basement and a cool power suit. So go tear them down. So I go after unlocking the basement and then unlocking the terminal totally on my first try. I get that fusion core. I head on up to the roof and I start gunning down the raiders. But oh my gosh, there's a death claw. All the animals are kind of like mutated, and I don't know what the death claw is mutated from. Imagine a crocodile with an angry bull. That's kind of what this was. I gun him down with a machine gun. Every single time I've played it, it always glitches, and so it's so easy for me to kill him. Like, he'll get stuck in the little sewer hole he crawls out of. But not only does that not happen, I also accidentally fall off of the building. So it was a bit harder to kill him. Like, it was actually my first time ever fighting him. But I still got him. And then I was like, you know what? Can I even go down here? So I go down the sewer hole for the first time in my life. And I do some looting. There wasn't really much in here, but it was still a little, spent maybe like 45 minutes exploring it. So after I do that, I come on back up and I head back in to talk to Preston and his crew. And he's like, wow, that was amazing. But I'm like, now what? And he's like, well, we gotta take care of ourselves, and you got some potential. Why don't you come with us? Mama Murphy over here, she has been dreaming about this place called the Sanctuary. But they start talking, and it's really just like drugs. So I don't know if she's like hallucinating, but she starts telling me that I'm a woman out of time, out of hope, but not all's lost because he's out there. And I'm like, you know what, let me take the route of I'm absolutely desperate trying to find him back. So I'm like, okay, fine, tell me more. But she's like, I can see him, I can feel him, he's out there. The site, the great green jewel, he's in Diamond City. But oh, I need the site. Maybe you can bring me some more drugs. So she sets me on my first big quest. They are off to Sanctuary. Some of them are looking pretty low, like that guy over there. He's like barely holding it together. But they head off to Sanctuary. I head back to the Sanctuary, and what I thought would be just a quick little pit stop, I'm hit with all these like mini tasks One of them is Preston asking me to go help out this other little settlement in the east because he's got his hands all tied up here. I don't know why I said it like that. He's genuinely asking for help because it's just him and these 4 other people and everyone else is dead. So I'm like, fine, I'll go help these helpless people. And he's like, they're not helpless. They just need hope. I'm like, okay. And I remember being an easy task. So I'm like, okay, I'll go do that later. And Mama Murphy, she hits me with the, I see it all. Your energy's tied to this place. And I see you waking up from that ice box. Don't lose hope because he's out there. But the sight is leaving me. I need some more chems. And so I think she genuinely does see. So maybe I do bring her some more drugs because, I mean, the stuff she said's already kind of true. But yeah. And then I'm also hit with the, please help us out. So I gotta build some water, some food, some beds, some defenses, because they're all traumatized of being like completely wiped out. So then I can finally unpack everything, do some upgrades, and then I head off to Diamond City. But not really, because you know I love exploring. I head off to the east to go help this little settlement, because not only is it easy, but I gotta build up my levels, because there's so many perks that I want to hit, but I'm not there quite yet. So I gotta do what I gotta do. And when I say gotta do what I gotta do, I mean even killing the dog that was fighting for the other team. You don't understand how bad I felt. He was with a couple of raiders and they were trying to kill me. So I had to kill him. And then I kept going to the little village, or not even village, settlement. And I ran across this little satellite dish. I was just gonna do like run through it, just kind of like discover it to get the HP and then keep going. But then all these raiders came out and I was like, okay, I gotta finish what I started. So I took them down all on the outside and then I went through the inside, spent about 30 minutes here, cleared it out, and then I continued to the settlement and finally made it over there. And I don't know why Preston calls it a settlement, because it was 2 people. So I talked to the guy and he's like, oh my gosh, you're actually part of the Minutemen? And I'm like, yeah, what do you want? And he's like, well, sorry, I didn't know you guys still existed. After Quincy, not a lot of people trust you guys. And I was like, oh, what happened in Quincy? But he doesn't tell me what happened in Quincy. So anyway, he's like, yeah, there's this group of raiders who keep coming for us. I was like, don't worry, I'll handle it. But after I look at my map and realize what the group of raiders is, I remember that was very hard. What I really remember is having to like snipe them from the outside of the power plant or wherever they were staying, and they were really high up, and I don't have a sniper. So I went home, unloaded my stuff, and was like, what am I gonna do now? Because I can't go up against them. I'm kind of just wandering. I'm not strong enough to take on the stuff that I was at. So I'm like, you know what? Let me head back where I've already been. So I head back to Concord. I do a thorough look through of all the buildings, because I did that the first time, but not buildings that were like immediately close to the museum, because that's where all the gunfire was happening. So I check out the church, hit a safe that's way too hard. So I'm keeping track of all of the locks that I come across that are too hard for me to get to. So hopefully one day I'll be able to get back to them. But anyway, I explore a couple more buildings and I'm wandering and wandering. Come across another trailer that I'm including the scene in just so I can try and figure out what location it's in. So like I said, I can come back to it. But I snag a cool power suit. There are so many of these kind of littered around. Sometimes they're fully built, sometimes only like the frame is left. But they give you like carrying power even if there's not really much of a defense left if all the stuff is gone. I discovered this little diner and there are a couple of raiders outside harassing the people inside, but I decide to mind my own business. What ends up happening here from my previous playthroughs, if I remember correctly, is the kid is a drug user and bought drugs and then ended up not having enough or never paying them back or something like that. And you can either take the raider side and kill the kid and the mom, which I've never done, or you can take their side and kill the raiders. But I just don't want to deal with that. That's not what Lola would do. Or maybe she would. I'm still working out her character. So, as for now, she remained impartial and let them deal with it. But I am still just wandering. And I end up in Lexington. When you discover locations, it can either be like one building or a whole little town. A whole bunch for me to discover here. First, I go down into a parking garage and I come across my first ghouls. These ghouls are kind of crazy. They are a little bit slow, but then as soon as they spot you, they start running and like hacking at you with their arms, and it gives you radiation damage as well. So a good way to fight them is to sever their limbs. It sounds a little crazy, but that's what you gotta do. So like a sword, something with like slashing damage, or if you have like just insane aim and can shoot their legs or arms directly. The arms are best to go for though, because then they have to like bite you or headbutt you, but the arms are the ones that they like slash you with. The legs are also good if you want to slow them down, and then once they're on the floor, but they can still like wiggle around and attack you. I take down these couple of ghouls here. I try not to at first, but then they spot me. Or maybe I'm just like, I'll just go for it, because I just wanted to unlock this right here. But yeah. So after I climb out of the parking garage, there is a giant supermarket. And this supermarket, I spend, I want to say like an hour in it. There is so much to look at up and down the aisles. They had like break rooms and kitchen and like a back room. So there's so much to explore here. So I got a bunch of junk. Of course, there are more ghouls here. Like, imagine the world's ending, but you have no idea because you're out shopping for groceries. That's one thing that Fallout really kind of gets me. Just like, even though there's not that many people still alive, there's so much remnants of the people who lived here before. Whether it be like how they left memos in their computer or little notes that they put, or you come across a little house and it has like a teddy bear there and a crib. It just, even though it's lifeless, it's full of so much life, or rather what used to be there. And it just gets you sometimes, especially when it's just you. You don't have your radio playing, like it's just you in silence, and then the music is really sad. So yeah. I'm gonna stop mentioning every time I have to go back to Sanctuary to unload all of my junk, because honestly, after I explore a place, like I have to do that because I pick up everything. And so I explore it, I clear it, I go back, I unload. I go back to where I was, and then I start exploring more areas. And then I pick up everything, I go home, I unload, and then I go back to that place. So I'm just not going to mention that, because that is definitely what happened. But here I am in Lexington, because it was the closest place that I've discovered to Diamond City, so I could fast travel right back there. One thing when you get like deeper into cities is that there's more ghouls, which makes sense because that's where the people are. They're not going to be out in the woods. So Lexington was kind of full of ghouls. Like there's this one alleyway where there's like 10 ghouls. But anyway, I see someone, or rather Dogmeat tells me, I can't remember exactly what, but there's someone up the scaffolding, like on the side of the building. And I'm like, oh cool, I'll just easily go kill them and steal their power armor. And as I reach the top, this ghoul crawls out of the rubble, and this other one comes, and by some miracle he doesn't see me. So I back up, I change to my new gun, and I'm like slowly sneaking as much as you can sneak with the power armor and holding a minigun. And I'm ready, I see him, I'm like, oh, I throw my grenade and I get blown up. And I was like, I guess I blew myself up. So I try again, I climb to the top, but this time I'm ready for the ghoul, and I'm sneaking, and then I start getting shot at by his turret. And so, oh my gosh, the ghouls are coming, the turret's coming. I kind of back up, and I don't realize that he said power armor, which means he sees me. So this whole time I think I'm still like sneaking. So I get ready, and then he blows me up. And this is when I'm like, oh, he's blowing me up. So third time's a charm, right? I climb to the top. I'm ready for the ghouls. I'm ready for the turrets. I'm ready for his nukes. So I'm definitely gonna get it this time, right? Right? And I'm debating whether I should shoot at it or if that will let the guy know that I'm there. So I throw a bomb, and I'm like, okay. Now that'll get rid of the turret. Now oh my gosh, I forgot the ghouls are coming. And he gets me through the little opening. So I call it quits. I am not equipped enough to kill this guy. So I will come back, and hopefully whatever ginormous treasure he's hiding will be worth it. So I'm just having a streak of bad luck, because after I do some more exploring, I accidentally start this little quest, fire support. And I go up to it because I'm like, oh, they're probably needing help. And this Mr. Gutsy, which is like Codsworth, they have different variations of like the robot, like what they made them for. And Mr. Gutsy's like a war soldier, and he just immediately shoots me down. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. So I try and kill him even with my machine gun. I can't. Like, I'm wearing power armor, I have a machine gun or submachine gun, and it's still kind of, I just can't do it. So then I load back up, make my way all the way back there, and this time I'm like, okay, I know he's gonna kill me. There's people this time. I don't know if I just didn't see them before, but I see them, and I zoom in with like VATS, which is not only a little trick to help you see like what someone is titled if you're not sure if they're an enemy or not, and it says scavenger. And I do a little bit of hesitating because scavengers and settlers, like, they don't attack you. But this guy, Mr. Gutsy, who is in the same area, so I'm assuming they're together, like, he immediately attacked me. I didn't have my weapon drawn or anything. Like, I was just running over there. So I'm debating, like, are they trying to trick me as posing by scavengers? Are, like, what? Are they military people, like, in disguise? And so I'm debating, like, do I kill them? Do I go up to them? Because, like I said, I just went up to him and Mr. Gutsy killed me. But at this point, I was just over it. So I ran on up to them, and sure enough, completely unprovoked, they attacked me. So I attacked them back. It took a bit longer than expected to get all of them because they were so scattered around. I still don't really know what caused them to be so immediately defensive and, well, not defensive, but what's the opposite of defense? Offensive. Not like offensive. On the offense. But I took other stuff and I just continued on. So with a little bit of a heavy heart, Lola continues on. I come across a little like blood bank place, but everyone's kind of already killed there from the bugs. And then I come across a couple of raiders, and I go a little bit further, and then I think they were from this like raider hideout with this little setup they got going. And so I take all the ones out on the outside, and then I head on inside. There's a couple of turrets, but I get those even though like they don't see me because they give you good parts. Once I get inside, there's literally only one person. I guess they were all guarding outside and they didn't think that you'd actually make it inside. But yeah, I loot the place with whatever's left because I took mostly everything already. And then I continue on to Diamond City. Looking at the map, we are pretty close, but my power armor is not only low on power, but also kind of beat up. So I just happened to stumble across this cool little power suit station where I can craft up and fix it up. So I do just that. I keep checking my map every so often, making sure I'm going in the right place. But every so often I get this like caution, careful, there's enemies around. But I don't see them, so I keep cautiously going. And as I turn the corner, like about to get to Diamond City, there's a giant super mutant fight happening right outside. So I'm like, oh, let me show these people I'm on their side. So I jump in, I start helping, boom, boom, boom. I take them down, and I gotta loot. So I go into their little building they were holed up in, take their stuff, and then I keep heading to Diamond City, which now you can see just out in the streets. They have the like bases sign. That's like the rhombus with the 3 little bases. They start showing arrows to like this way to Diamond City. And I come across a guard, and he's there all cool, and I talk to him, and he's like, damn, not afraid of mutants, huh? You're our kind of gal. And I'm like, perfect, I'm gonna fit right in, like I left an impression. So I come up here, and I see a Miss Piper trying to get into the gate. I'm overhearing, and they're saying that they can't open it. But it's not that it can't be opened, it's that Danny, the guy on the inside, saying that he can't open it for Miss Piper. And so I'm like, oh dang, I just want to get in here, like there's just a super mutant attack, like I don't want to be out here in the open. And Piper's like, come on, just let me in, like I'm just a press. And Danny's like, I can't, the mayor said I can't. And so Piper's like getting upset, and I'm still kind of like, do I intervene? Like I just want to be let in, it's not my fault, I came right as Piper's trying to get in. So I'm like slowly creeping up to see if I can just intercom it. But then she looks at me, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And she starts talking to me. She's like, you wanted to Diamond City. And I'm like, I just want to get in. So she's like, okay, play along. And so then she starts speaking all loud again so the intercom guy can hear Danny. You say you're a trader from Quincy? You have enough supplies to keep the general store stocked for a whole month? Huh. And then Danny falls for it. He's like, all right, give me a minute. Piper's like, quick, you better get in before Danny catches on. And so I'm like, you go first, because I'm not going to be the one who has to explain myself. This is all you. So I head on in, and there's this guy standing there, McDonough, which is the mayor that Danny was talking about. And he's like, how dare you come in here, you devious, rabble-rousing slanderer. Your paper is full of lies. And Piper's like, oh, what's that? Tyrant mayor shuts down the press. Why don't we ask the newcomer? So I'm like, okay, this Piper's really kind of smart. And so I'm like, oh, the newspaper? And I'm debating, like, she just helped me in, but I also don't want to get into whatever this fight that's happening. So I'm like, what newspaper? And she's like, mine, Public Occurrences. We are the truth, the hard truth. Are you with us or not? I'm like, dang it. So I was like, I always believed in freedom. And so the mayor, I think he realizes how he's starting to look. So he's like, oh, I didn't mean to bring you in. Bring you into this argument. You look like Diamond City material. Welcome to the great green jewel of the Commonwealth. Safe, happy, a fine place to come, spend your money, settle down. Don't let this muckraker tell you otherwise. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna be here long. And Piper kind of didn't like that. She's like, ugh, see no evil. You'll fit in just right with all the guards. And the mayor's like, is there anything that you're looking for? And I'm like, this guy, I don't really trust him. So I'm like, I'm just looking for something. I don't give him any details, but then he keeps asking, and I'm like, ugh, that's my business. And Piper again, she chimes in. She's like, don't go to the guards. They're not going to help. And the mayor's like, I've had enough of this. You and your sister, you're on notice. And Piper's like, yeah, keep talking. That's all you do. So then she turns back to me and she's like, you got a big welcome. You feel honored? Now, I know you got to go get settled, but come to my office because there's an article that I want to write and you'd be perfect for it. That was weird. Are they going to close the gates? This is Diamond Security, and oh, this is Danny. He's like, you're that traitor? Traitor, not traitor. She pulled the wool over my eyes again. And I was like, oh, I got some choices I can say here. And then I was like, well, I wasn't lying. I got a whole supply train. And he believes me? And so he gives me some money. But I'm like, oh man. But then I'm also like, if you're that dumb, then I don't really feel that bad taking your money. And then he asks me again what I'm looking for, and I'm like, I'm just looking for something. And then he pushes me again, asking me what I'm looking for. And so again, I'm like, it's not your business, because I don't know what type of people you are. Piper warned me. I kind of just saw that this guy literally wanted to leave her out to get killed for saying stuff about him. But nevertheless, I go in, I head up the stairs to Diamond City. So here we are at Diamond City. We made it. Our first big quest. Mama Murphy told us that Diamond City is the place where Shaun is or has been. We gotta go check it out. So here I am at Diamond City. I think this is a good place to leave off. So that's what I'll be doing. Here are my stats.
Whew, man, that sure was something. I'm not too sure how often I'll be posting. As I say this, I've already completed the game because like I said, I love playing it, so I played it all the way through already. But what you just saw was 8 hours of footage condensed into about 30 minutes, but there will be more coming. Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. You can hit that subscribe button and the like button, and I'll see you guys next time.